Good morning.
Hey, Kath.
Hey, just checking to see if the audio works. So I'll hang tight. Thank you.
Leah, I understand that it looks like everything's being streamed and recorded and is all set to go whenever 9:15 rolls around here.
Yep, I just sent out the last of the invites. Looks like we're live on YouTube and everything looks pretty good. So yeah, we should be good to go in just about a minute.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. This is the chair for the Central Board of Architectural Review, and I'd like to call the meeting to order, September 17th, 2021. The first thing is, do we have any public comment? Does anyone wish to address the board regarding an item that is not on today's agenda?
Madam Chair, I do not have any requests to speak at this time.
Okay. Can we have the agenda status report, Leah?
There are no changes to today's standard agenda.
Okay, then I'd like to move to the minutes of August 20th. That's what I have up on the screen here. I didn't see Nicole in our list. Do we have a stand-in today?
We do. Mr. Tuttle is actually filling in for her today.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to be clear who all from our group is here today. I was kind of flipping through the list and I wonder if we could just check that.
It appears to me that we have Alan, Lowell, you, Cass, me, and I thought I saw Robin as well. Yes. And
Okay.
Puck is not here at the moment, nor is Brett.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Appreciate it.
Brett Marchie, to clarify.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments regarding the minutes?
This is Cass again. I had a couple minor things.
Shoot, let's get through this real quick.
On the first item, number 1, for some reason I had in my notes that it was 300 cubic yards cut and 300 yards fill, but these minutes say 200. Which one is correct?
That is a question for the applicant when they return, and not something that we would change here because this is taken directly from the agenda.
Okay. And then under note 4, if we could just add after cladding the tower in stone, I looked at my notes and I had, and consider a higher wainscot.
I believe that's number 6.
Well, I had mentioned the possibility to consider raising the height of the wainscot. So that's
with regard to the tower.
no, with regard to the wainscot that's running around the perimeter of the building.
I think that's better in number 6. I do remember you made that comment. And I think that that's what 6 is trying to get at,
Okay,
because the wainscoting was not, it didn't seem that it was consistent on all the elevations, and you had suggested raising it as well as making it consistent.
okay,
Should I just add, say, consider raising height of wainscoting
perfect.
Yep, at the end of that.
at the end of that? Yeah.
Mhm.
You,
Would be
perfect.
perfect. And
And then on
any-
number,
anybody else have anything on number 1? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. Let's go to number 2. Anybody have any comments here? Cass, you want to start?
yeah, just, I just thought on note number 2, where it says, consider adding more gathering areas that will be under permanent shade, given high temperatures in the valley.
Okay.
And that is all I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else with any other comments? There were only these 2 items, so
Madam Chair,
yes.
forgive the interruption. Cass, do you have what the second item can return for in your notes? I didn't.
Let me look. Let me look.
I think we were, I think we asked for them to return for preliminary.
So this requires an amendment. So were you saying that after they get their amendment, they could come back for
What we,
preliminary?
yeah, when we say that, what we say is what we mean, and the planner takes it to mean is that this is, as far as we're concerned, for our review process,
Right.
we are ready to review it at preliminary level. That's all it means.
The only note I had just says concept review, no action taken today.
Right, because it was just a concept review.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Cass, for checking on that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
But I'm pretty sure that that's what our intention was. Does anybody else have a different recollection?
Bethany, this is Robin, and
Yes.
that's my recollection as well.
Okay. Does that work for you, Leah?
That is perfect. Thanks, guys.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Could I have a second?
I'll second. This is
That
Rob.
was Cass first. So all in favor?
That was Robin.
Was that Robin first?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my fault. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. CBAR members informational briefings. I do have a couple of things under this. Very quickly and briefly, we did have an additional joint chairs hearing, which I attended, specifically to address the list of items that the CBAR had set forward to them and that we weren't able to get to on the previous meeting. And it was basically very well received. We had a lot of discussion about the various items, and that's going to move forward. I believe that at the next hearing, they will have some feedback for us, more detailed and possibly sooner. Also, something that I was notified about is that Governor Newsom declined or decided not to continue the emergency order that basically provided for these Zoom hearings. And so we will be resuming in person. Pretty much we're going to be doing that in October. However, there's a few wrinkles and some technical aspects that are being worked on. I'm under the impression. I also am under the strong suspicion, although it has not been confirmed, that the C-bar hearings will be in Santa Maria. So everybody should, the board members should kind of take note of that. Let's see what else. Oh, yes, and lest I forget, I believe that Mr. Marchi submitted his resignation from the board. So I'm not sure exactly what the official status of that is, but that he told me that he would be resigning. So that's just to let you folks know. Do we have any member recusals for items on today's agenda? Anybody have anything they need to state now?
Madam Chair, Puck did
Yes.
make me aware that she needed to step down for item 2, but I don't see her.
She's not here at the moment.
Maybe
And
she's after number 2.
she's plans to attend after that item. So,
Perfect.
yep. Thank you so much for saying that. All right, staff update. Alex, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything other than I'm filling in for Nicole today.
Okay. I'd just like to add, you've filled in for her before with us, I believe, but I'll just go ahead and say it again. If you have any questions, please, as you did with the minutes, just go ahead and just kind of bring it to my attention, and then we'll try and make sure that you're getting the minutes. Okay.
Okay.
If you have any issues at all. There's no consent agenda, the standard agenda. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Our first item is 20 bar 8, Young America's Foundation new single family dwelling. And I think that's A34 Studio, which I believe is Alan. And I think I saw him in the thing. So if you want to start sharing the screen, Alan.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I have Lauren Anderson with me, and she'll be operating the drawings for us. And then I also have Chantel Vo from Pararai Studio for landscape when we get to the landscape drawings.
Okay, however you guys need to run it, you should be, there you go. All
Okay,
right, now
so-
I just need to make one comment real quick. We're limited to the drawings that were submitted.
Yes, these are the drawings that were submitted.
Perfect. Just want to make sure. Thank
Yep.
you. Go for
No
it.
problem. All right, so this we were with you about a couple of months ago. We had a couple of minor comments, I believe, that we wanted to address as we moved into final approval. So we'll just skip through the drawings and look at the items that were in question and see how we address them. So
Want me to read those real quick?
Oh, you can, please.
Courtyard and the porch on the main house are attractive, like the simple forms and arrangement of buildings. Consider adding a shade element and adding small windows on the upper portion of the north side of the main house. There you go.
Okay, so we'll just flick through these. So next drawing, so title sheet, existing property and the location of the home, which you've seen. Next, existing photos from the site, looking 360 degrees. Proposed site plan that hasn't changed since last time we were there. Yep, keep going. Okay, floor plans. They've just been developed so that we can get ready for submittal for working drawing. So there were no changes on the floor plans, and we'll look at the elevation for the window here in a second. Corrugated, none of the colors have changed. So we've gone with a dark palette, very simple agrarian form. So on the north elevation, instead of adding windows up high, as we relocated from very early on in the drawings, we relocated the barn, that did open up the view to the north. So instead of doing high windows, we looked at doing a really simple punched window in the kitchen that'll bring light into the kitchen area and give a view uphill to the hills. So we took your comments on that. Materials haven't changed. We've got a stained cedar and a corrugated metal roof. We've got all our lighting specified, which is all a low night lighting, appropriate lights. And what we generally do in our drawings, as we've done in previous projects, is we always mount these low at about 18 inches off the ground, so we don't get a lot of light spill, and it covers code so that we meet the minimum light requirement at thresholds. Building sections. The guest house hasn't changed at all. It's just developed. Again, exactly the same palette as the main house. So we'll move on. So the commentary on the commentary on the concrete storage building was to add a look at possibly adding a shade structure. We looked at it. We didn't feel it was necessary. The single opening is on the east elevation, so it's open to the morning light. And we really wanted this form as a storage building to be very, very clean and not have any of that architectural articulation. So all we have is two very clean punched openings, one for the door, one for the garage door, and we kept it as simple as that. We've taken through and built up our details. So we have our roof details, our chimney details, our window and door details are all developed. And then previously you'd seen these as well. So we did a series of night renderings just to help with looking at the way that we have light spill and how we were going to deal with this. So you can see we have a pretty low level of lighting, and all those exterior lights do the job and just basically light the thresholds, as you can see here on the entry courtyard sequence past the barn and the storage building.
I don't know if anybody else is having this issue, but Alan, I'm losing you there. You're going in and out.
I'm sorry.
He's clear for me.
Okay, it must be me. Keep going, Alan.
Okay. And keep scrolling through. We can scroll through the civil drawings and get to landscape, which I'll hand over to Chantal. Maybe we generate it properly. Here we go.
Yes, hi. So not much has changed since the last time I had presented for landscape. Lauren, can you go to the next sheet, please? So this is the landscape plan. So I had presented it last time, so I'm just kind of here for questions if you had any questions about it. And those are some details, the irrigation plan, irrigation details, and our relo plan.
And then we're into then we've got structural drawing. So just open to any questions or comments that the board has.
Okay, could you go back to your lighting fixtures and show us the Kelvin that you're specifying on the fixtures, please?
I believe I'm specifying 3000 Kelvin.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm it.
We've got a specification. We can specify the the 4000's too white or up there.
There it is.
Yeah.
Luminaire lumens, 159, 3000 K.
Okay.
All right, and then just if you could go by your other fixtures, that would be great. Just show us the other ones. Yep, that one's good.
I think that's it.
There was a gooseneck fixture. There it is.
Ah, there it is. Oh, well done, you. Yeah, we didn't specify the lamping on that, but we can.
Okay, Alex can add that to the note that the marathon LED gooseneck light at the barn will be a 3000 K lamp, and that you should add that to the drawings when
Okay.
they come in. And then your details. I think that's the last thing we need to see, and the landscape plan. I breezed through that.
The gooseneck was to be what? What value?
3000 K.
3,000.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Cass.
on the schedule there, what was it K4 fixture says 4,000 K? What was that one? I just
No-
saw briefly, was that something else? It went by quickly.
I didn't see any fixture that had a 4000 K designation.
Could we go back to that schedule that you were showing us that had the listing of all the,
Oh, back to the first fixture.
Did I miss it?
yeah, the first one? Can you,
Right there. It says 3000 K.
K4,
Yeah,
K4, the top one? Is that just
those are all just all the options we're
Oh,
specifying.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay, so the
right.
one that you have is, so
The-
that one is, does not apply?
Yes.
He does that. If you look up a couple of lines above that LED color temperature, it says luminaire lumens and then 159 3000 K.
Yeah.
Okay. I just got confused because it says there, LED color temperatures, and I wasn't sure if that referred to the K4 was.
Well, I mean, they could make it clearer by checking the box.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And as well as in the finish and everything else, because I'm assuming that you're going with what
The dark gray to match the dark gray siding.
okay, so is that the silver or the black?
The black.
Okay,
So X in the box of the one that's applicable.
yep, and the same thing for the next one. And
Yeah.
the gooseneck, just
Yeah.
get all the stuff there. And then, yeah, if we could just see the windows and door details. And then I hate to be a pain in the butt, but if we could take a quick look at the landscape real quick, that'd be great.
That's fine.
Before we go to that, could I ask about the, can you show us on the storage building? That's just the simple shape. How is the drainage working off the roof?
It literally runs off the roof. It's a concrete building with a water with a add mixture in it. It literally just runs down the face of the building.
Okay, so you're just gonna have it be weather, however it weathers with the water running down. whatever.
Absolutely. That's the concrete look we're looking for.
Okay,
Okay, landscape.
Do you want us to zoom in on something?
No. Nope, I don't. I just wanted to kind of look at it. I didn't get a chance earlier. Okay. You want to flip to the irrigation real quick? Okay. And then the schedule 40 and the Wello. And then can you slide down just a little? There we go. Okay. No, it looks good. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. And you are here for
Final.
final, I thought. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Could I interest a board member into making a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
That was Alan.
Correct.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
did we check to make sure we didn't have public comment for this one?
we did not. Thank
Can-
you.
Can we go back? Because I think I have a hand up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Good catch. Public comment.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. This is Anna Citrin, attorney for the Gaviota Coast Conservancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Joining right here at the end of a long process, I see, and ordinarily we wouldn't weigh in at final like this. But here it only just came to our attention that this project was being reviewed. In part because the agendas up until just Monday, when I brought this to Ms. Graham's attention, have listed this project as being within the Santa Ynez area. And it is within the Gaviota Coast Plan area. So I am here to familiarize myself with the project, but also to make sure that that as you all were reviewing this project, that you understood it to be in the Gaviota Coast Plan area, and to see whether the Gaviota Coast Plan visual resource policies, including the site design hierarchy, were applied to this project. And in particular, you know, we were concerned about visibility from public viewing places. I don't know if this is in fact visible from any public viewing places. There is a mapped trail on the northern boundary of this property. Wondering if any consideration has been given to visibility from there. And you know, generally whether mass, bulk, and scale was developed to be consistent in terms of integrating and responding to the natural features of the site and the other various provisions that were, as you know, quite painstakingly developed to ensure that the visual resources within the Gaviota Coast Plan area are protected and enhanced. So I don't know if it's appropriate to respond to these questions at this point. I would appreciate, I think, knowing at least whether this was reviewed for consistency with the Gaviota Coast Plan, and if not, it may not be appropriate to proceed with final until that is specifically considered. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Well, I'm more than happy to weigh in. First, I'll tell you that this project has already received preliminary approval, which means that there was a planner's memo. And I do recall from my recollection that we did in fact discuss the trail. We discussed the siting and many other items when we took our preliminary action and made our findings. And so without, you know, belaboring it, I would assume that yes, the planner's memo, which is a public document, would have addressed all of that. And that would have been part of it. I do remember us taking quite a bit of consideration into this. And while I do not have the planner's memo in front of me, I would assume that, yes, we did look at it within those contexts. And the preliminary action is the appealable action.
I do understand that, again, this was misagendized from the beginning as being within the Santa Ynez area, which is why I was not aware, particularly in the Gaviota Coast area in the more rural portions where there are no street addresses. It's very difficult to know where a project's located without plugging the APN into a map, which I actually did on Monday. discovered that this is within the plan area, and hence why I am here. And yes, I do understand that the preliminary is the appealable action. And again, we wouldn't ordinarily just show up here at final like this. But under the circumstances, I did want to at least raise this point. I'm glad to hear that the planner's memo considered this and that you all considered this. And I would just urge that in the future, that the agendas are carefully constructed so that this type of problem doesn't happen again. And I appreciate Ms. Graham correcting it as soon as I brought it to her attention. So I really appreciate that.
And I'm sure that she will in the future be very aware of it. And it is, again, I don't have the memo in front of me, but to be clear, I am familiar, as is the rest of the board, with the area, the Gaviota Coastal Plan and the San Ynez Valley Community Plan and where they're applicable. So without stating unequivocally, I mean, I would assume that that's the nexus in which I considered the project. I can't conceive of us not. So that would be my hope. And then hopefully moving forward, you know, we don't have this issue again.
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Any discussion from the board?
I had one question, if I could, just wondering, I mean, besides the perhaps, you know, that it wasn't perhaps notified properly, was there something that that Ms. Citron, was there some objection? I mean, if we were at preliminary, was there some objection to the project that you would want to express? Or maybe that's not appropriate at this time, as you're saying that you, I mean, had this been preliminary, was there something that you were concerned about that you want to say with regard to this project?
I appreciate the question. So not being familiar with all the discussion that's happened so far and all of, you know, your review of this, you know, I'm not speaking from a point where I have a lot of knowledge, but generally speaking, GCC is concerned about structures that may intrude into the skyline from public viewing places, structures that aren't cited appropriately. And unfortunately, I just don't have enough familiarity with the site itself and this project to say to know whether it is visible from public viewing places or intrudes into the skyline from any public viewing places, or whether, for example, the 300 Kelvin lighting is adequate to ensure that that there's no disruption of wildlife at night. So again, I don't have enough information about this particular project to state a specific objection at this time.
Thank you.
Any other board comment? I'm not hearing any, so I'll pick up where I had left off earlier. Would anyone like to make a motion for final approval? We're back to you, Alan.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, failing anybody else jumping up and down, I'd like to make a motion for final approval for item number 1. Could I have a second?
I'll second. This
Thank
is
you.
Robin.
That's Robin. I got it right this time. Any further discussion?
For my benefit, sorry, since I'm taking notes here, it would be helpful if you guys just said your last names as you're making and state your names as you're making your motions.
That was Robin Brady on the second, and this is Bethany Clough on the motion.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, that was 3 of us.
Aye.
Thank you, Lowell. Alan, you're voting since the full board is 5 until Puck gets here.
Okay, I said aye, probably
Okay.
too softly, sorry.
I missed you, that's all. All right, so that would be no opposed. Motion carries. Let's go to,
Thank you very much, guys.
you're welcome.
Yeah,
Uh,
Have a
thank
good
you.
day. Bye.
I think item number 2 is 21 bar 77 Novat Equestrian Facility. Brett, you're the applicant. Who do you want to have run your screen? And
Hi, Bethany.
hey, Brett.
I think we need you to run the screen if that's okay. Gordon Scott was the architect, and neither he nor I have much experience with the screen sharing. Is that possible?
Okay. Oh, give me a minute here to do this.
And while you're pulling that up, Bethany, this is Alex. Tina, the planner, is not here today, but she did pass along some information.
All right. Why don't you go into that while I get my act together here?
So a couple things. One is that some site photos were submitted after the typical submittal deadline. Given that these are just photos and not like new plans or anything, we did accept them, and I believe they're in the box folder for your.
They are. I'm looking at them right now. Brett, do
Okay.
you want to start there with the photos or the drawings?
Yes, please, if that's acceptable.
And
that'd
then,
be perfect.
yeah, so one other comment, there is, and this is regarding a landscaping requirement for this project, that there's a code section requiring screening of the parking area along the property lines, consisting of a 5-foot wide strip with shrubbery to necessarily screen proposed parking area, or a fence or wall not less than 4 feet in height. So just want to make sure you're aware of that requirement, and perhaps it can be discussed or pointed out
Okay.
as they're reviewing those plans.
Okay, when we get to the plans and we get to our discussion, I may ask you to clarify where on the plans if it hasn't been made obvious to us.
Okay, and then one other component of that is that there's part of this requirement extends to providing some breakup of the parking area with like tree islands or shade or
Right.
other types of ways just to kind of break up the extent of paving.
Okay. Mr. Brett, you want to show us where we are and
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. So this is a property, 63-acre property on what we call the flats between Buellton and Solvang. It's 2 doors down from the ostrich farm. I think everyone's familiar with the ostrich farm on the western
here?
end of the flats.
Here, I'll give you a map.
Okay, super.
Keep talking while it comes
Yeah.
up.
So we, the property has been historically used as a commercial equestrian facility in conjunction with a number of other parcels, both on the south side of 246 as well as the north side. This property is on the south side, and yeah, there you go. Great. So the property consists of a shelf. So there's a elevation change, and it's relatively flat up top here. You see a couple existing buildings. There's a barn shade structure, 2 houses, one a main residence, and then an ag employee dwelling, and then another barn. And then as you drop down the shelf towards the river, is where we're proposing some of the other structures. So Bethany, I do have pictures of kind of each area and some of the existing structures on site if you want to go through those.
Okay, let me go over to the pictures. I'm going to close this if that's okay. Okay, here you go.
So that's basically at the entry to the property.
Oops, I shouldn't have done that. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Next picture should be kind of looking west. There's 246 on the right-hand side. This is the existing main residence on site. Another picture of that from the front. This is standing on the shelf looking to the southwest across the property. Just kind of a closer view of that, where the arena and a couple of the barns will be down below. This is the existing, one of the existing barns that will be demolished and replaced with what we would call the clubhouse, or the, kind of the headquarters for the facility. Next one is an existing barn that will remain. And this is a closer look at that shelf, looking out to where the barns will be located in the arena. Same there. And then this is the
Which direction is this? Is looking towards the river?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then this is back up above on the shelf. This is the ag employee dwelling, the smaller of the two houses. I think that's all the pictures. Gordon, I see you're on. I think Bethany will move over to the drawings if you want to take over.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good, Bethany, thank you for doing this. I apologize. I had this wired yesterday, and then something's going on with my computer, so it wasn't working flawlessly this morning. So appreciate
Well, mine may not either. So.
Well, you know what? That's good. We'll both be in it. I appreciate that. Okay. So the components of as Brett said, the components of the CUP are the clubhouse, which is in the center of that area, next to the parking. And then we have the large covered arena down below, and then the horse barns on the right. And as Brett said, it's a lower section there, and the elevation difference is about 14 feet. So everything in that lower section, the visibility is quite diminished from the road. I think the arena is 26 feet tall, so the maximum you see is 13 feet of that above, and that's about 1,000 feet away from 246. So next page. This is a clubhouse, just a simple single-story structure for weddings, events, different things like that. Next slide, please. You saw the photograph. Let's see, go to the next one if you would. I don't know why that's in the wrong order. So that you saw the photographs of the existing residence, which is kind of a farmhouse look with the beams and the outlookers. And so that's what we're carrying through on the clubhouse because of the proximity to that. Big wraparound porch. We want to kind of mitigate the mass of this on that upper level where everything is nice and low and not very visible from the street. Metal roof, wood siding, board mat siding, and then the brick columns, which will be a theme that she wants to bring in landscaping and other areas. So next.
Could you just affirm which elevation, if any, faces 246?
The rear elevation faces 246. And that is, if you go back to the site plan, you can see that it really doesn't actually face it. There's it's at an angle, and then the main residence blocks that. So it's an angled view that you have.
Right
so
here.
Really, yes.
This is it here.
There you go. So you're seeing that at an angle. So you're seeing more of the end elevation than you are that rear elevation. And there's a very large trees that run along the back fence of that residence. So that whole area is screened pretty well.
Okay.
So then the next sheet, this is a little restroom area, providing some restrooms for the events with the, excuse me, the arenas, which will happen down below. And this also works for her existing barn. So then the arenas is a 150 by 300 foot metal arena. As I said, the height is 26 feet. So we have 13 or so above the bench area. This is, we're actually showing those restrooms there, but they're going to be attached. They're going to be in that building. So we'll be modifying that. This is open on 3 sides. The west side we're showing as solid because of the predominant winds that blow from that area. I'd like to enclose this on that end. And in the horse barns, we're completely rethinking this, which we'll address on preliminary. These are just way too long buildings. We're going to go back and look at probably 20 stall individual barns that are detached, so it's not such a long bass. But these would be the metal prefab buildings, metal siding, metal roof. We have our basic dish grading, septic. The lower sections in flood hazard. So we're making those accommodations to any of the structures that are down there. The special construction issues.
Do you want me to zoom in on any of this?
Sure. Zoom in on those grade numbers. No, I'm just kidding. You can just scroll right through. I think this is all. I'm just kidding. There's I think the rest of it is just the particular information that's really not relevant at this point.
Sorry, I turned my mic off.
The minutia.
This is part of the septic.
Septic system, exactly. The 2 existing residences have their own. They're remaining, and then this new system is for the clubhouse and
Okay.
excuse
So
me, the
it
ADU.
looks like you've got this mobile home here, and then this is the
That's the restroom unit,
okay there,
and then the clubhouse on the far side.
Clubhouse over here.
Yes.
Hey, Bethany, if I could just make one more comment or pass one more bit of information along.
Okay.
This is also coming from Tina. And I don't have the full background on this, but perhaps Brett could fill in as well. There was Eric had processed or approved a land use permit a couple months ago for 2 agricultural barns. 2,000 square foot barns. I'm not sure where those are on the plans, but for one reason or another, and I'm not sure exactly why, they were determined exempt from BAR. Again, I'm not sure the basis for that, but those are unbuilt at this point, and I just wanted to make you aware of that you might want to look at where they're how they fit in with the rest of the site planning.
Thank you. Brett, you want to speak to that?
Sure. You'll see it's a hay barn up above, right directly west of the little restroom, right there on your screen, basically right in the center of the screen. Yep, there you go. So we do have a zoning clearance, and it was determined from P&D to exempt those from CBAR. And then there's one other one just directly west of the large arena on the lower shelf. You'll see in a lighter shade. Yeah, right there.
Sorry, the little, that one there. Yep, and you've got them both labeled as under separate permit.
Correct. They're all permitted, exempt from the building permit, zoning clearance done. They just have not started construction yet, but will be shortly.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public? Are you finished, Brett? Or
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, I am too.
okay, perfect. Leah, do we have any requests to speak?
Madam Chair, at the moment, we do not have any requests to speak.
Okay, board, do you have any questions or comments? Who wants to start? All right, Lowell, you start.
Okay, I think I'm having a problem. I know that we have to do, or they have to do landscaping around the parking area, which would be okay for the car parking, but the RV parking is just seems inappropriate to me to be in such a linear
Front and
fashion.
center.
Yeah, front and center, linear fashion, and it seems to me to be probably the most prominent thing on the site, considering its proximity to Highway 246. So I would have a concern with that location and length, lineal length of the RV parking spaces. The other buildings, I think, are all appropriate and seem to fit the site much more appropriately.
Okay, Robin?
I concur with Lowell, and I had concerns about lighting in that parking area for the RVs, and agree that the structures are in keeping with what's there and that they're below profile. I think they fit in well, and that's it.
Okay. Cass?
Okay, can we zoom out a bit on the site plan so we can see the whole thing? I agree with what Lowell and Robin have already said. I'm curious as to why the reception hall isn't more prominently featured. I don't, maybe you could talk more about the whole entry sequence, how this all works. It feels a little random in terms of hierarchy, and you have this nice reception hall and it's kind of hidden behind the existing structures and the that existing barn #1 and then these residences. So I'm just not understanding the hierarchy and the power of the whole entry into the site. Maybe you could talk about
Brett?
that a little bit more.
You are
I'll address that.
perfect.
Yeah, that's a great comment. It's something that, excuse me, that I went over with the client, because you're exactly right. In a normal situation, that would be more front and center. The situation is that bench provides the view into the lower pastures and the river and the mountains. So it it became a value decision to say what's the best location for the actual use of this. And the window is certainly not what you'd want, but when you get there, and you go by the houses and the barns, and so it's one of those things. It's a little bit unique based on the site that we'll get them there. Once they're there, then it's this panorama of view across the back.
did you consider possibly flipping that building with where the parking is so that the building is more visible from the highway? And then, you know, the parking issues that both Lowell and Robin mentioned, to reduce the parking, the focus on parking, and increase the focus on this sort of destination point?
The problem is that then that gets that, I mean, it's a good point. And on the RV parking, that's 100%. The idea is that that's parking only for events. It's not like there'll be units parked there the whole time, but certainly we can look at that. Even on the event day, that's going to look pretty ugly there. But as far as the other situation, it just standing there on the site, it feels like that's the right spot, and moving it over moves it closer to there's a little bridle, that other, the AED. We're trying to kind of keep it away from there. And so it's kind of the lesser of the evils we like to have, where you come in that road, that large expansive view, and still be close to the bench. There's a large grassy area out in front of the rec hall to be used.
Okay. Cass,
Yes.
can I just interject a couple comments and then I can come back to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So given the square footage on these buildings that are proposed, we're required to make a site visit. So, and I'd want to see it anyway, given what's going on. And I think that we would benefit when we're out there, certainly from some staking, but with regard to that arena, some story poles on the corners for the heights, and then so that, you know, we can see how it actually sits down on that bench you were talking about, and just
Sure.
what is the view from 246. I think we're going to want to do that. We can talk about whether we're combining all of that together or not. I think we're pretty flexible. The other thing is, and I think the site visit actually will allow us all to really get a feel for the site. And I think, you know, we could talk a lot about why this move was made or that move was made, but I think the site visit would greatly inform that conversation.
Sure.
Cass, you want to go?
Yeah, I think that's right. Let's go out there and understand it better. You know, this is obviously a really exciting facility, and you want it to be the best it possibly can be for the owner, and of course for the community as well. So I guess that will help inform us. So I'll hold off on other comments. I just think that it feels, as I said before, a bit disjointed. So
Just in plan view.
Yeah, with so many existing elements, and then how do you bring the new ones in and then make it all, you know, pull together in a really strong way.
Okay. Alan?
I really don't have anything to add. I think it's a good idea that we do go out and take a look. I've seen the property before driving by, but I've never really looked past the trees. So I think that's a great idea.
Okay. I have some additional comments as well. I would echo, it's a fairly, I know this is conceptual, and these are big moves as far as the placements, and we're not really drilled down into the micro, the way things all connect and everything like that. And again, I really do think that I think a lot of this is going to depend on the site visit when we go out there and take a look at it.
Sure.
But for that hearing, I think one of the things that we would like to see, and I would encourage you to do, is to stake out the extents of the RV parking, and paint or otherwise mark kind of, you know, the area where we would be doing the parking area for your 100 cars. I think we'd also like to see kind of what types of buildings those two other permitted exempt equipment barns and the hay barn, those two buildings. I think we would like to see kind of the vernacular of that, what that I would like to see it, so that I have a context for what those buildings are going to add to what's already there. And I realize that we're not commenting on them, but as background info and just to
Sure.
general stylistic,
I think-
I concur on your 64 stall barn, your for the horses, livestock and that. That's yep, that's pretty linear. But that's kind of what those buildings are. So looking forward to see how you do that and how those things, how it starts to all connect together. How do you get to the round pen? How do you get to the arena and then the covered arena and how do you get up to the, I'm assuming back up to the top bench, the upper area to get to those restrooms and all of that kind of thing, and just how everything's all connected. And I know this is very preliminary, but that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'd also appreciate it. I mean, I can make some inferences as to your events, and this is kind of a question for the planner as to, for Tina, as to, what types of events and how many in size and those kinds of things, so we can better understand what'll be kind of required on the site planning and what you're trying to accommodate. It helps inform me when I'm looking at it.
Sure.
So that's those are my comments. I'm going to come back to the board real quick. Anybody else have anything else they need to add?
Bethany, can you hear me?
Yes, Puck, don't you have a conflict on this item, or are you?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. All right.
They got rearranged. So no, this is good. I was just going to say, I think the critical part of this, I really appreciate the fact that with horse facilities, it's pretty linear geometric layout, because that's really what works. And then you have these site conditions and existing structures that make other parts of the property and program much more organic and almost haphazard, which at least in plan view. But like you said, things pop up in places on agricultural properties for a reason, whether it's views or wind or whatever, proximity to use. So I think what actually ties it all together is the actual site planning and the road layouts and how all of these things, it's kind of like the organs of the body. How are they all really connected, and what's the flow? And so the parking, we've gone over it. I concur, and think about the parking. I know, can it be slightly broken up, or where are there trees or islands in the parking, and just especially for the event building, which I love the architecture. I think it's really coming along. Is all of the back of house activities that caterers want. Sometimes even if you have things inside, they want to do all kinds of things outside, whether they want to bring their own ovens or, there's a lot of stuff that happens, and
barbecue pits.
I mean, you name it, 7 green eggs in a row. There's no limit to these guys anymore. So I would just really make sure that there's been a lot of homework done about about all of the programming for all these different areas. And I think it's actually very exciting. Like you could really make just so many wonderful outdoor spaces, whether it's the parking lot or the circle or the area around the event space, what's the overarching concept that ties all these things together. So
Yep,
that's
I would agree.
my
And
main comment.
also, with regard to that, and knowing that Tina was asking for screening, and we've already had comments about the RV, and Puck made some comments, which I would endorse, and I think everybody else did, with regard to the parking and breaking it up. But one of the things that's missing, aside from all those connections, those organic connections that really give this a sense of place and convey the function, we're not seeing any of the existing trees. And I'm pretty sure there's some existing trees on this site.
Yeah, there's huge trees through there, so
Right,
that
so,
does come
and-
into play. But we'll see that on the site visit. That's a great idea.
Yeah, but moving forward with your plans, I think, and as you
Plot
start to
those.
break things up,
Sure.
we'll still need to see it, on this type of a plan scale. And
Sure.
obviously you're not going to be identifying individual trees, but you'll be identifying masses. And I think
Groups.
that's really going to inform our review when we see this again.
Yeah, great
So
point.
those are our comments. And
I was going to say, one of the things which will, it's a change that I think everyone will be happy with. It's a last minute change that we're going back on our, with the barn and LUP, is moving that upper barn down next to the other barn down in the lower section.
okay.
So what that now takes away the one kind of ag high element that was on that bench. That's now down below. So it really cleans that view up above. And
Okay.
so that, fortunately, we made that decision before we got it started. So that will
No
be-
worries.
that-
We'll look forward to seeing it next time.
Madam Chair.
Bethany,
Jay. Yep.
did you all want to see conceptual?
Yes, because we're going to
Landscape
be
plan?
making we're going to be making the site visit. I'd want to see that at that time. Yes.
Can I please add one more comment,
Yes, quickly, please.
if I may? I think that I want to be very sensitive to the work, and that we're giving very general comments at this time, and that maybe the applicant will, hear these general comments that we're talking about and may choose to do things differently based on this discussion that we're having. So I want to be sensitive to requesting them to do work to identify certain elements that may be in different places based on this discussion today, and not ask them to put things in if it, for example, the parking, maybe that parking is going to move somewhere. Maybe they're thinking, gee, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll do something else. I think
Well,
that at concept, if I could just finish, please.
Yep.
At concept, this is the time for these kinds of discussions, for big moves, big picture, big discussion. So before they, let's let them absorb what we have offered today, and then see how this is going to influence where they're going to move forward. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Okay. And my only comment is whatever permutations and whatever happens to the site planning design, I just would like to see that you do follow through with the staking and identification of those areas that.
Oh,
we
sure, no
talked
problem.
about.
I guess as I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder if, because I want to be sensitive to what your comments, and I think they all make sense. But then there's also, as you said, there's the site, when you're on that site, there's some things make a lot more sense. So I'm just wondering if we went ahead and did the site visit first, so everyone sees it, and then before we come back in with another.
Well, typically what happens is because we're going back to in-person, what we'll do is we will schedule a site visit, and isn't this going to be lovely, and then trot back up to Santa Maria. we'll have to figure out how we do that. But in the past, what we've done is scheduled the site visit, and then immediately following that, we repair to the hearing room and review the item.
Right.
So while it's fresh in everyone's mind.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to figure out how to do that, but that's what we'll do.
And my only point is that they may choose to, you know, maybe this is the first concept, but they may have another concept that they're now thinking about based on this discussion that we've had. So I hate to have them spend a lot of time documenting something that's going to change. So I'm just trying.
I don't think we're asking them to document anything that's going to change.
Staking is fine.
Okay, all right.
Staking is fine. I just, but I hear you. And I guess that was my suggestion, is to go back. But you know what? we can do some. What we'll do.
Well,
is
I mean, if you're talking about the story polling, the only thing that I was suggesting we story poll was the new covered arena.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, and that's fine. I'm just talking about the whole I mean, you know, elephant in the room. It's the location of the clubhouse, and there's you know, there's other issues that you guys aren't seeing, and there's things that I need to look at too. So it may move, it may move slightly, it may move a lot, but the being on the site, I think it's
well, and it's up to you. I mean, coordinate with your planner and find out, and it could be that story polls for the four corners of the reception hall would also be helpful.
Sure, we can do that. I mean, that's not a big deal at all.
That's like I said earlier, when I mentioned the story polling, I said it can be done now when we make this site visit, or it can be done at a later date. But it's kind of up to you. And what I'd say is coordinate with the planner who can get back to me, and we can determine what should be staked / story polled for the upcoming site visit. I could get together with you or Brett, and we'll get that figured out so that you're
not happy to do that. We can put up whatever you guys want,
and
absolutely.
Then we'll move forward.
Yeah. The staking was really not the issue. It's more of going back and doing a lot of design work without having actually seen it and understanding it. But yeah, we'll coordinate that. And
again, that is up to you how you want to do it, and how it makes most sense to you.
Perfect.
All right. So, but I think we do want to have the site visit the next time we see the item.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the most important thing right now, is for everyone to see how the reasons for it and how it plays out, and what we can do differently.
And then what you choose to submit at that point is obviously up to you.
Got it.
And we'll just review it. So
perfect.
Okay. So
quick question, Bethany.
Yes, Lowell.
Okay. Is there anything that would preclude the applicant from maybe staking an alternate location for?
Not at all.
Yeah. So I think just to prevent a second site visits, since this is quite a large site, and to relocate significant items in the proposal, you know, I think if they would consider having an alternate location for maybe the RV parking or even the clubhouse, and we could look at that at the same time.
Sure. And as I said, that RV parking, for sure, we're going to do something different on that. There's no question about that. And we definitely want to look at the comments on that clubhouse. And I can see definitely that it does need to move some, but there, like I said, there was a philosophy on the general location where it's at, and so we just need to look at that.
Okay. I think that concludes our comments. I'd like to call item number 3, 21 bar 159.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hotchkiss addition and remodel. Again, this is Brett Jones. You're the agent. Do you have somebody?
Yep, and board. Thank you. This one, I believe Tom Oshner's office will take control of the screen.
Oh, goody.
But if I could briefly
So we're actually sharing our screen then, Brett? Or, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, and I just need to place the caveat that you need to limit yourself to what was submitted.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So this is a residence addition out in Woodstock on a just under 20-acre parcel. There's an existing house built in the, I believe it was the mid to late 70s that is going to be remodeled and added on to. And we also have a detached garage and carport that will be up on the ridge a little north of the existing main residence.
Okay.
Let's see.
Leah, you want to help them with the screen?
Oh, here.
I've got both Tom and Liz ready to go.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Did that come up? Okay, great. Okay, so here we are presenting for an existing single-family residence, which we're proposing an addition and reworking the existing massing of the building. The project is located in the Woodstock area. We've taken the project to the HOA for conceptual review, and they have approved it. So I'm just going to go forward. The existing square footage of the main house is about 1,600 square feet, and then the proposed addition is about 1,400 square feet. And then we are also relocating the existing garage to be a detached garage. I'll come back to the materials later. Okay, so here's some existing photos of the site. There's an existing barn on the property, 2 existing sheds, and then the main residence here. The primary change to, or the design idea for this main residence was to create more of an entry as you drive up to the main house. You can see in this photo here that you basically drive up, there's an existing oak tree here in front of the house, and it's just the drive or the garage that you're looking at and a couple of small windows. So we wanted to create more of a entry element, and then also with a wraparound deck. Currently, you kind of walk around the side to the entry, so it's mostly a garage entry for the occupants now. There's really no proper guest entry for anyone visiting the residence. This is that existing entry along the side of the house here. The location of the proposed detached garage is in a flat area of the site right now that has these horse areas with this little shed, so it's pretty close to where this is here. Go to this site. We did have an arborist look at the trees. We have an existing oak tree that's very close to the main residence. The owners really liked this tree and want to keep it, so we discussed with him doing some hand digging for this deck that we're locating along the front here. The wall of along the front of the house is in the same location as the existing, so we're basically retaining the existing foundation as much as we can here to reduce any impact on that existing oak. On the back side of the house, there's also another existing oak, which is actually, you can kind of see it here, it's very close. This is the line of the main residence, and so it's actually almost leaning over a little bit that existing roof. So with this addition that we're proposing, we're removing this oak so that it's not encroaching too much on that addition, and then proposing some mitigation for that as well. This isn't necessarily the location of the mitigation. There are other areas of the site that have adequate irrigation for the mitigated trees. This is just one potential location here. This is the existing survey where you can see the main residence. There's a little deck out behind here, and you can kind of see how it's located on the top of, you know, the ridge here, slopes off to either side. And then in the back, there's another little ridge that comes up here, which you'll see in our proposed plan. We have some steps going up to a flat area up here. Then existing driveway coming through, which will be existing to remain, and we're just going to refinish that with a double chip seal here, And then existing shed, this is kind of the proposed location of the detached garage and existing barn down below. Taking a minute to load here. Oh, this is the landscape plan. This is that existing tree, and then they're just proposing a couple of new trees along this edge. A lot of the trees shown on this drawing are actually existing, and then just kind of a little pathway going around the side of the house here. And then this is that pool up there. We don't have the landscape architect here today, but the idea was just to accentuate the existing landscaping of the site. There are a lot of existing oak trees here, and then have some low planting kind of around the front and the back. That's the proposed residence. Demolition plan here. So most of the main house will be demolished, including the existing roofs and walls, and we're just trying to utilize the location and reuse the existing foundation here. So here's our site plan. You can see the existing residence location, and then we have a couple of additions coming off of here, trying to be sensitive to this location of the oak tree here by pushing this addition further to the outside, and then having that wraparound deck at the entry there. The garage location you can see here is the detached garage, which we're kind of branching off with another chip seal driveway to get to that. And then here's just the overall site plan showing the location of the existing garage or the existing barn down there, and then the kind of a larger context of the site. So here's our proposed floor plan. The red line indicates the location of the existing exterior walls. The idea was just to have a more central entry gallery here that's larger, more prominent when you drive up to that entry driveway area there. And then that existing oak tree, we tried to keep it pushed as far away as possible from that, while also using this existing location of the wall to provide some program that opens on to this deck here that overlooks this area. Then most of the other additions are just, you can see here, we have a large area of addition pushing out towards the back. But you can also tell that, you know, this form of the existing main house is pretty square. So we were dealing with, you know, kind of a large square building that had kind of some room in the center that we wanted to also bring light to. So what we ended up doing was trying to raise just the center area and bring in some light with some dormer windows, which you'll see on the elevation. This is our roof plan. The highest point of the roof is that central element there, and then everything else kind of slopes off of that. So, you know, as you get towards the exterior, you've got plate heights of, you know, 8'6" or 9 feet. And then even at these covered deck areas along the front, the plate height gets a little lower, even to about, you know, 7 feet out there. So trying to kind of respect the existing topography of the site where, you know, we have this mass in the center to announce the entry to the project, and then everything else kind of flows down to kind of move with the existing grading there as it also breaks down along the edges of the site. This is our proposed garage building here. And we have a 2-car garage with a little storage area on the back and just some other shed location for tractor storage there. These are our elevations. So here's that front entry that we're proposing with the existing tree along there. This addition, which kind of pushes to the side to give the tree a little bit more room. And then kind of stepping up. So it's lower towards the front, and then as you move towards the back, it steps up a little to this higher volume area. and then you have your lower covered porch out here. This is that side elevation where the deck wraps around. The owners really like the idea, and I think they have this at the house right now where you kind of walk around the side, and it's kind of a nice access to the back patio area. So we are kind of maintaining that existing pathway that they like using right now. Oh, and let me go back to that. Actually, I'm just going to point out we have these are those dormers that I was talking about, and part of the design idea behind these was to bring light into the center of the house, and also to you know, kind of break up this massing along the edge as well. This is the other side elevation where we have another little covered area to protect against the sun. And I just want to also point out that, you know, a lot of the areas where we are proposing exterior lighting are these covered areas. So we have downlights that we're proposing that are these, you know, the dark sky compliant lights, but they're also, you know, being covered by these shed roofs as well to prevent light from spreading further out. These are the garage elevations. So this is where you drive into that 2-car garage there. And then the side elevation, which is what you'd see kind of as you're driving up the driveway to the main house. The back elevation is that garage, and then the other side with the tractor parking there. These are just some sections identifying that height limit. And I just also wanted to point out that our roof slope in, I think most cases, is a 5 and 12. So we were going for that, the 19-foot height limit, the 3-foot increase for the steeper sloped roofs. The only portion where it really gets up to the 19 is in the center there. Everything else is much lower. So that's really the only area that height limit is affected there. And then we just have some details, which we can come back to if you have any questions about this. But I'm going to go back to the second page and kind of talk briefly about, or the third, maybe it's the third page. Oh, here. And talk briefly about the materials. So we have a standing seam roof that we're proposing. It's green. It's a matte roof, and so there shouldn't be much roof reflectivity off of that. We have a stone veneer, which we're proposing along that main portion that goes from the entry all the way to the back of the house. And then the rest of the residence is a board and batten siding, which would be the hardy siding, kind of in that cream color there. We do have some areas with reclaimed wood siding, mostly at the garage, and then our 2 proposed downlight fixtures. And then I'm going to just do a brief. These are the proposed 3D views that we have here. You can see here the entry, the lower roof over that entryway, and the covered deck that wraps around the side there. And then this is also that side where the deck wraps around. This is, yeah, kind of heading around the house, so more towards the back. And then this is from the proposed pool deck, which is raised up to the level of the existing grade, kind of looking down on where the house is. And then here from the house looking up towards the pool deck, and then that back area there. I think that concludes our presentation. Let me know if there's any other sheets that you'd like
Okay,
to see.
anybody have any questions really quick before I call for public comment?
I just have a couple really quick ones.
Okay.
Has the fire department signed off on the plan?
We haven't met with the fire department, but we do have a turnaround on the in the driveway area at the, let's see, I'm going to go to the site plan here.
If I can interject too as well,
We are-
Pat,
Sure.
the contractor's meeting with the fire department in the next week.
Oh, okay. It was, when I was looking at the site plan, it was hard for me to tell on my little screen just how big the driveway area was, but that's fine. And then this is really silly, but on the dormer windows that are above the porch, they appear to be, does the stone face of those dormers, does that plane drop all the way through the to the ground floor?
Can they show the?
No.
Okay, that was my only question.
Yeah, if you go to the A 3.2.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one 3.1. 3.2, it kind of does,
No.
there isn't quite the disconnect. This one I think is what, Puck, is this what you were asking about here? In the
Yeah, I just wasn't quite sure where those landed, but anyway, that was just a question. It's not a comment. I'll wait.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments for questions for clarification?
Good. I'd like to see the floor plan, please. So so you have it looks like this built-in nook here next to the kitchen, right? And then the dining room is in the center. And there's this entry hall, long entry hall. That's okay.
Okay.
All right. Just trying to understand the plan here a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. And then I have a question, if no one else does, about the sections. Could you, on this, with this up, can you kind of draw your cursor or run your cursor along where your section lines are?
Oh, here.
That's one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there, and then above that's the other one, right? Okay. So, can you go to your sections for me real quick? Okay, so that first one, that's the one that ran up and down on the floor plan on the sheet.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other two are the ones that are running horizontally across the sheet, correct?
Let's see. This one, yeah, cutting this way. Yes.
Okay. Well, my concern is that roof that we're seeing in the background. If you go back to either the floor plan, well, your roof plan would be great. Just I would like to see, and this is actually a comment, but since we're here, that ridge running right through the middle, do a section through there and show you're meeting the 19-foot requirement just for documentation purposes.
Yeah, so we're showing that here. This is kind of that line of the existing grade, and then that's that 19 feet.
Well, then my question is, you've got roof projecting past that.
Yeah, that's farther beyond in another area.
And that's why I was asking for a section that
Yeah.
goes through there with those two projections.
Well, if you see here where this is cutting through, I guess, maybe here is a better section to cut through, but this other section does cut through that area here.
Correct, but you're not showing it all the way along. And I want you to do it right through the ridge line.
Oh, okay. Through this ridge line. Okay.
Through that big ridge line. Yep.
Right here. Okay.
The one that runs horizontally across on your, where the main entry hall is, and through the dining room and then the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay. So basically this section, but right here at that. Or, oh, you want it through this way. Okay. Through the entry gallery or both.
Correct. And then if you go to the roof plan,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take 2 sections through the most egregious, tallest roof peaks. So that's going to be, yes, that one right there. And then I'm
Mhm.
assuming that that one is one of those other, you've got those other 3. So if you could just verify with your sections that, and they don't have to be, you don't have to do them so completely that you're showing everything beyond and all that stuff. Just a simple section right
Mhm.
through there that shows the
Okay.
landform existing and then the projection so that we can document that you're meeting the 19-foot height requirements
Mhm.
limitation. Okay. All right. So not to belabor that. Anybody else got anything else for clarification? All right.
I have one other thing is I realize that this is a existing house that you're taking it all down, and then you're working with the existing foundation, and then you're adding on to that foundation. So really it's an all new house, but I mean, technically you have to put it that way in terms of your description of your addition and all that. But you do have freedom because it is all new on top of the existing foundation. Is that right? I mean, it doesn't have to.
Yes.
It
Yes,
doesn't-
we're maintaining the existing finished floor level.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But you do have
Mhm.
freedom. It's not like you're keeping the existing house and then adding on to it, so you have constraints. Your only constraint is
Mhm.
you have an existing foundation that you're adding on to.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cass. Leah, do we have any public comment?
Madam Chair, we do not.
Okay. I'll open it up to the board. Puck, did you want to start?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This looks like a very appropriate, very charming house for one of these classic Woodstock sites where you have no wiggle room. I do think, I mean, this is a very nitpicky thing, but the the windows being, the dormers being clad in stone that are not supported from below, I just think they'd be better off in the hardy board. But and then I just, could you go back to the site plan and the grading around the garage? So that is pretty much an existing flat area, that little area. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Sorry, I had myself on mute.
Okay. And I was just wondering what the gradient of the drives are down from the main driveway down to the garage.
Yeah, I think it's a couple feet here. You know, we probably have 4 feet along this path here, and then maybe about 3 coming down from this driveway.
Okay, so it's not too bad. I think that was those were all my questions. You know, gravel on steeper slopes is gets a little tricky, but
Okay.
those are my only comments. Thank
Okay.
you.
Cass? We can't hear you, Cass.
Sorry. Yes, I think this is a really attractive project. I appreciate it. I think that you've already gotten your HOA to approve it. So I think just overall, just the general feeling of it is really nice. My only comments, I agree with Puck about the dormers. They feel I always think of dormers as kind of a group of friends, so I like them to all kind of tie together. I think that given that you do have a lot of freedom within the, as I was mentioning before, I just would suggest, I think that if it could be simplified and lowered, I wouldn't mind that it could come down lower. It seems like the some of the elements on the interior would allow you to do that. But in general, I think it's really nice. I think you've done a nice job. That's all I
Okay.
have right now.
Thank you.
All right, Robin?
First off, I want to say what a great presentation. I feel that I have a really clear idea of what's going on, and I agree with Puck and her word charming. I think it's charming. And I look forward to hearing more about it.
Okay. Alan?
Yeah, I'm good with the project. I like the comments we've made. I think it's a very nice design. Reusing the foundation is really interesting. I think it's going to look just great.
Okay, Lowell?
I agree that the design is very handsome and well suited to the site. I would just caution that any construction by the existing oak tree, I suspect the engineer might call for larger footings to support the new and bigger house that's going on that existing foundation. So maybe just consult with the arborist to make sure that you're in compliance with protecting that existing oak tree.
Okay.
Okay.
My only comments are, and this is directly to the planner, just based on the sections and the elevations that I'm seeing here. You know, it's always difficult with that 3D projection for the hillside ridgeline, the requirements. And so through the major roof peaks where it's obvious that that's going to be most likely to break that 19-foot projected, I won't call it a plane because it's not by definition, but the projection of the existing grade 19 feet up. That I would like the applicant, in fact, it would require the applicant to provide documentation that it complies and meets the hillside ridgeline and doesn't require an exemption. Especially given the freedom that they have, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to meet that 19-foot requirement. So I want the planner to verify that they have that documentation before the project returns to us. No one else has talked about the colors, and so I'll come back to the board and just make sure we're all on the same board. We've had comments before amongst the board about the colors. Could you go back to the colors and materials board there? I don't know if we got back to those in your presentation. I'm sorry. But if you could just talk to them about the colors just a little bit, and then we'll come back to the board real quick. I want to make sure it gets into the record that we're okay with it.
Sure. So we have the dark green standing seam roof. That's the non-reflective matte surface here. Then some areas of natural stone veneer, and this is the limestone. I forgot to update that on this number, the text in there, but that's that quarry limestone veneer. The exterior doors and windows are wood clad with aluminum, the dark bronze, and then the siding is the board and batten. This doesn't really reflect the battens, but it's the color of that particular material, which is the hardy siding. In kind of the cobblestone color, so not white, but an off-white cream color. And then we have some areas with reclaimed wood siding at the barn, and then this is just the stain for the cedar exposed rafters and framing. there.
Okay, thank you very much for doing that. The board, does anybody, we're all comfortable with the color palette as presented? I want to just make this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. I thought so, but I wanted to make it official. Okay, so I think those are our comments. We look forward to seeing you return. I mean, obviously these drawings are a little more forwarder than just conceptual. I actually have, I think, details in this package too. So how do we want to see this item return?
Bethany, this is Brett again. We would love to be able to come back for preliminary / final if allowed by the board.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with that.
I am too. Okay. All right. So I'm not hearing anyone say anything contrary to that, Brett. So yes, that would be fine. With the requirement of the extra hillside ridgeline compliance documentation that I was talking about. That's the biggest single add, I think, because I think everybody really, myself included, appreciates the charm and the direction of the design that the building's going in.
Great, thank you.
All right. So let's go to item number 4, 21 bar 155 Rancho de Zo, Almarosa Winery. Think this is also,
I have to recuse myself for this one.
this is the one you're recusing
This is the
yourself from.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So wonderful. Leah will take care of that and put you in purgatory in the and get you off the board for this. And Brett, why don't you guys go ahead, work with Leah? I'm just gonna, if we could all step away for just 5 minutes and come back at 11:05, that would be great.
Super.
Okay, thank you.
So
All right.
Leah,
Who needs control this time?
yeah, probably, is it Josh or Brian?
It would be me, Josh. I'm logged in twice. One, I changed the name to use for share screen. So you can give control to that one.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, sorry. One's audio, one's video.
All right, there you go. Feel free to pull it up whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's give this a shot here. That working?
Yeah, I see it, Josh.
Okay, great. Well, then I'll just mute until 5 minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
Alrighty.
All right. I think we're probably all back, or I hope we're all back. So, everybody's still logged in. Can everybody just say I'm here so that we can verify?
Here.
Lowell, you guys all here?
Bethany, I don't know about everybody else, but this is Brett. I can barely hear you.
I agree.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
That's better.
I forgot to put my mic back down on my headset. Okay. Yep. So I think we're all here. Brett, you want to go ahead and
Sure.
get us located vicinity and do your your presentation.
Sure thing. So
Thank you.
this is a property on Santa Rosa Road that you'll be very familiar with. We came to you for a new residence, I believe last year. I don't remember exactly when last year. A little over 100-acre parcel, and we are now proposing a tier 1 winery. Property and adjacent properties under the same ownership have numerous acres of grapes, and Josh has the screen and he will take you through the presentation on the building.
Yep. Yeah, so like Brett mentioned, you've seen the property before. For the residents, the winery facility is going to be closer to the north on the parcel. This is adjacent to Peak Winery, about 10-minute drive from Buellton. And we'll just start on the site plan just a little bit. As you saw in that title image, well, I'll just go to it real quick. This is a shot taken from the entry to the site. So there's a vineyard block in the foreground, and then this great backdrop of the hillside. Our facility is pushed to the south of kind of that entry portion into the site as far as we can get to that hillside. That would still allow us to maintain all of our back of house circulation around the rear of the facility. And then we'll do some slight modification to the entry drive to better serve the winery and the vineyard block, and to keep circulation along the east side of the site. And that also benefits us, as we will be able to conceal all of our parking around the backside of kind of this bend in the trees, and with any other additional parking behind the facility. So we have a few photos here that kind of orient yourselves a little bit. This is another view, taken from Google Street View, looking at the site. And this would be the proposed design, a very, low understated gate entry, and then a very agrarian style multi-barn building off in the distance. Simple, understated, and the goal is to really have it fit within its agrarian context and not distract from the beautiful landscape that's already there. Just a few more images. This is kind of a drone shot now from the south. In order to break up the size of the facility, we've separated them into two barn buildings with a simple flat connector for the crush pad in between. We can look at that a little bit more when we get to the plans. And then kind of a closer up view of the building. The intent would be to, maintain the vineyard towards the front of the block, and then hydroseed plantings in front of the building, and then a site wall that kind of defines a little bit more of the landscape zone that is part of the winery itself. So that was the site plan. We have a quick roof plan. The roof is fairly simple. The two main bars that comprise the barn, one is the fermentation hall and a small lab attached, and then the other is office and barrel room with another kind of side saddle portion for additional barrel storage. And it's just broken up in a way that try and minimize the visual impact of the facility, but also to fit it within our setbacks, which are rather tight, a little bit of kind of like a bow tie zone, but we are fitting the building within those setbacks. Floor plan, as I mentioned, so the building to the right is predominantly barrel storage, and then a small office portion to the north. This is a double height space, not double height space, but a 2-storied space. There'll be additional offices above. This is that courtyard that's between the two buildings, and then the fermentation hall building right here with that connector crush pad between the two, all mechanical and back of house is to the rear of the facility. Second floor, the only thing that's really a 2nd-story zone is that office portion right here to the north. And some catwalks in the fermentation hall. So we have 2 sets of elevations here with some materials. This is kind of just a flat elevation for each. The materials, in keeping with kind of a simple agrarian structure, they're all weathered steel. So corrugated metal cladding for the walls and roof. Some portions of weathered steel in a flat pattern. And then, site walls being poured from concrete and hard trowel concrete for the exposed floors, windows and doors of matte black finish. And then these are a little bit more telling of character of the building. These elevations are 3-dimensional. So this is the crush pad that you're seeing through right here, fermentation hall on the right side, barrel room and office to the left. With a sense of the landscaping as it wraps around the building, which we will get to shortly. South elevation, this is back of house zone, and then west elevation. This is an existing tree. It's the only tree that we are getting close to, and we are maintaining a distance around the existing drip line in order to keep this tree and actually use it as kind of a defining element in the main arrival into that courtyard. we've preliminarily begun a lighting plan. All of our exterior lighting is down lighting, either monopoints or step lights. And then, we've also have some lighting in the interior, which, we can talk about, but we have this is a sheet. These are not renderings, but rather kind of inspirational images that we have been looking towards as we work towards the design. Simple, rustic, and weathered agrarian forms and materials, much like a more modern version of an old agrarian red painted barn. Landscape, I believe Scott Dominguez is on. You can jump in, Scott, if you're there.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just kind of do a brief overview of our kind of concept and overall idea here. So yeah, as Josh said, kind of want to go with that agrarian set, pretty rural setting out there. So as we approach the winery, sort of that large pocket of landscape is mainly just native grasses, perennials, hydroseed, kind of a barrier between the winery and the vineyard there. And then as we approach and enter sort of that courtyard area, we want to keep it pretty simple, clean, sort of an organized landscape schematic with the plantings, with grasses and native perennials and sages. And then we do have a main water feature centered there. And on either side, sort of kind of an alley of olive trees, again, some large mature olive trees on either side and pointing towards that oak tree that we want to keep. So that's kind of a smaller, I guess, courtyard that kind of steps down from that area. And we are adding a couple other oak trees to help tie into that space. And then as we move around to the back of the house and towards the parking there, again, just tucking in some more oak trees and landscapes up against the building to help soften. And then further to the south, there's existing vegetation that we're just kind of adding to with more vegetation of oaks and maybe some sycamores. And then the main parking on the east kind of goes up against the main creek. And so we really want to be sensitive to that sort of riparian habitat. And so the plantings on that side will mirror that, as well as provide a little bit of buffer and screening to the neighbor property there as it looks towards the winery. That's kind of again a brief overview of the landscape and kind of goals that we're shooting for there.
Yep. And then we also have some sheets on our initial civil, just ensuring that we could, get this drive around the rear with minimal impact to the hillside and still allow our facility to fit within the setbacks. And a few drawings also indicating where we would be modifying the alignment of that entry road. Currently, it's a straight shot, but with sensitivities towards Pierce disease that could occur across along ravines, vintners have requested a modification to the vineyard blocks, and our road provides a buffer for that disease and also kind of gets it out of the way. So a majority of your view along Santa Rosa Road would just be vineyard. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any quick questions from the board before I move to public comment? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody. So Leah, do we have any requests to speak?
Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, so let's come to the board. Who wants to go first? Robin or Cass, do you want to dive in here?
Sure, I'll go first.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a beautiful project. Appreciate the presentation, and I just think it's great. I don't have anything to, I don't have any questions, and I don't have anything to add. I look forward to it. I think it's wonderful. Thank
Okay,
you.
Robin?
Good presentation, and I agree with Cass. It's a good project.
Lowell and Alan, which one?
This is Alan. I don't really have a problem with this. It looks pretty good to me.
Lowell?
I think it's a very great presentation. I really like the realignment of the driveway, and I love the materials for the structures.
Wonderful. I would echo the complimentary comments regarding the presentation. It was fairly concise and well put together, and covered everything, and we didn't have any questions. And I think we are just looking forward to seeing you progress through your working drawings. Now, I would have to check, but I'm trying to remember in the BAR bylaws, I think buildings of a certain size, footprint, square foot footprint. How big is your building? How much do you have under cover?
Our building, let's see, this is kind of broken up into a number of different things, but the undercover condition
like about
zone is around
12?
10,000.
8 and
Yeah,
4?
it's building A and building B combined. So yeah, probably around 12,000 square feet, and then total building coverage of
Okay.
just over 15.
I'd need to go back and check the bylaws. I think 10,000 is it requires a site visit, and I can't remember what the threshold is. So I'll check back with that and confer with the planner and with make sure I'll get back to Brett and see if we need a site visit or anything with that. But I don't see any need for anything else. I think it's very nicely cited, and really appreciate everything, and just don't want to cause a hiccup later.
Hey, Bethany, we have not submitted for a land use permit yet. This is a tier 1, so it would be under a land use permit. So we don't have a planner assigned. Notwithstanding that and doing a site visit, what's the board's disposition on coming back? Are you able to do a site visit and come back for preliminary / final on the same day?
Well, yeah, that's not something that would be an issue, I don't think. I think it's going to depend, as you mentioned, on the planner and the land use clearance and their ability to issue a memo that clears it for both preliminary and final. But
sure.
I think as far as the board is concerned, yes, we would have no problem with it returning preliminary and final.
Super, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, and I will get back to you on the site visit. I just got to pull out my bylaws.
Sounds good.
Okay, I don't think there's any other comments. So let me go back to my agenda here. So item number 5, 21 bar 167, Matthew Givens cannabis cultivation. Do we have a representative? And Leah, can you get with that person and get them sharing their screen? And then I'll just do reiterate my caveat about you only can show us things that have been submitted.
Hi, this is Amy Taylor, architect for the Givens family. Can I have control of the screen?
Yeah, Amy, you should be good to go.
Okay, thank you. I'm going here.
What?
Just to clarify a couple things, the project description, this is for approximately 3.5 acres of hoops for cannabis cultivation. We are not developing the entire property for the cultivation. The premises for cannabis is approximately 5.07 acres. And we're here for CBAR. For cannabis, CUP requires design review. We also have hoop structures that are in the design overlay zone that are visible from the street. We are proposing both cannabis hoops, and we are proposing existing and new food crop hoops for the agricultural business on site. We also have a small as-built farm stand that we'd like you to review. So you may know the Givens family. They provide produce at all of our farmers markets in Southern California. Matthew Givens, who is the cannabis project business owner, proposed business, lives on site and manages this farm for his family. So this first image is the aerial view. What you mostly see is the existing agricultural area, and the property line is up around here, cutting through San Ynez River. And we have the city of Buellton to the north. These are residences that are set well back from the city boundary line with preserved open space closest to the Givens property. To the west is another agricultural food crop and I think grain farmer. To the east, agricultural. We have Ave of the Flags here and 101 is here. And then to the south, we have 2 vineyards. Lavender Oaks is directly across the street, and Mosby is sort of off to the side. Let's see. Uh-oh. I just have some overall views. This is from Ave of the Flags looking west towards the property. And this is some residual old Highway 1 bridge overcrossing of the wetlands. Farther down on Ave of the Flags, sort of looking across the other ag property, and the Givens is in the background. And you can just see some of the existing food crop hoops there. This view at the bottom is from Santa Rosa Road. This is the little farm stand that we'd like you to consider letting us keep for their fabulous business. And this, along with over here, these are the 2 primary gates from Santa Rosa Road. And these gates will serve to access the cannabis premises, which is down this road. So let's see. A couple more views from Santa Rosa, basically the farm itself. This is a peek through. There are pepper trees that are dominant along Santa Rosa and also along Old Highway 1. We have received a road encroachment permit to infill all of the bare areas with new Australian willows. It's a tree that's a little bit smaller than the pepper. It's not invasive into the roadway for the roots, which was important to county roads. And basically, we're trying to fill in any areas where you can look through the gaps. Also on Santa Rosa, there's a little bit of topography change. So at the more western end of the area, we have a little berm hill to block the view. And again, the blank areas, we will soon be planting those Australian willows. This is a view of Old Highway 1. Again, the old trees here, and we'll fill in the blanks with the new trees. Additional views at Highway 1, looking back at that little farm stand. And this is the primary gate to the agricultural activities at the end of the Highway 1 area, and peeking in through some of those other agricultural areas. So this last sheet I just added recently. This is a newer view of the farm stand. And we'd also like to ask you to consider this one hoop structure relatively close to the road, which is intended as a demonstration for Matt's patrons. He gets a lot of questions about what are hoops, and he thought that this would be a great opportunity to share with them. So those are the photos. This is the wrong thing. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the overall site plan, this gives you the context again. The shaded areas are the city, and these
we're still stuck on the photos. We're not seeing
oh, you're kidding. Huh. Oh, I have to change it, don't I? Sorry.
Yeah, you might have to drag another window over.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm pretty bad on the technology.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so the northern property line abuts city, and all of these hatched areas are dedicated open space. And this area is the residential. So residential is set back over 700 feet from property line. Let's see if I can get in here for some of these other dimensions. Over 1,500 feet from cannabis to property line, and over 2,300 feet from cannabis to residential. So here is the site, 101, Ave of Flags, Old Highway 1, Santa Rosa Road. This is a secondary little parcel where Matt lives in a mobile unit right here. The shaded area is the proposed cannabis premises. It was located for proximity to Matt's residence so he can keep track of it, and also for its distance away from residential areas. Let's see. So we have, I better zoom out for a second. We have existing and proposed food crop hoops, a couple of small proposed storage containers for the agricultural business. These are also food crop hoops, cannabis. The little farm stand is in this area. And then all of this is the existing agricultural buildings and whatnot. As we come in closer to the cannabis, I've actually split it into partial views so that we can get into more detail. So this is the main entrance to the cultivation, which is accessed along an existing road inside the property. Santa Rosa is right along here. The fence to the cannabis premises is set back 25 feet. The property has a 20-foot setback, which is the little dotted line. We are proposing cargo containers for storage of just tools and whatnot. And then we have a couple of containers for solar panels. One container will house surveillance equipment, which is required, but it will not contain an office. And then a couple more cargo containers for potential new solar panels and basic storage for the operations. And then these are just blocks of the hoops. The eastern part, mainly just showing that we're also in flood zone. So we've removed any structures outside of that flood. We also have a spot here for a truck to pick up material and take it to offsite processing. And we will have electrical there to plug the truck in while it's on site. So the fencing plan, basically perimeter fencing. We're kind of zigzagging here due to the 50-foot setback to cultivation from any property line. So we're respecting that on the Givens interior property line, and then also along the street property line. Main gate and one tractor gate at the opposite end. Everything has little dirt roads surrounding it for maneuvering inside the premises. And the overall site fencing, we have a boundary separating ag use with riparian habitat. And then pretty much the whole property already has fencing around it. So in the landscaping plan, as mentioned, we're going to infill any bare spots with the Australian willow, and we also will replace any of the pepper trees as they begin to fail. So the strategy here is that Matt wants his cannabis facilities to blend with his agricultural facilities. And he will be using screening on site that actually can contribute to his ag business. So the shaded area is densely planted rosemary, which he can use to sell at farmers markets or to create other goods. And then we have rows of fruit trees on this side and also on this side, which can be used for the business. Inside the premises, I've shown some little olive trees, which also could be collected for ag business. What else? And then the overall landscaping, infill, those little dark spots, any of the missing areas, we're going to infill for screening. So these are some of the floor plans and elevations. We're going with the cargo container mainly just to have a lighter foot on the land. These are considered basically similar to ag buildings. And we're just going to do like a gravel base with 6x6 to drop those on. One of them will have security, and that requires some AC, which can be handled with a mini split heat pump. Others will just be storage for materials and tools. And this one is showing the proposed solar panels on it. This sheet has the agricultural improvements. So we've got a little shed that's the existing farm stand, and a couple of little shade structures. Basically, these two areas are only for the employees operating the stand, and then the public enters just in this area to pick up. So we are planning to add one ADA parking space with the access aisle directly abutting the sales area. And we are planning to use a pine tar as the asphalt. You put pine tar over dirt and it creates a hardened surface so that we, again, have a lighter footprint on the land. And these are just like the others, except these are specifically for the ag storage use. A couple of small water tanks that we're adding for domestic water and fire water for 2 existing residences. And then these are probably your more important elevations. An example of the typical fencing, we are just going to use field fencing for the cannabis premises surrounding. And we have 2 different gates. At the tractor gate, we'll just infill a regular ag gate with welded wire so it becomes non-climbable. And at the front gate, we can attach wood fencing so it's a more attractive look if you have a peek through at the street. And that wood fence could be shaped in a more ag traditional. Where we have light fixtures, they'll be mounted on poles that are integral with the fencing. And then over here, we're going to have a freestanding fence near the equipment container where we'll bring in power, and we'll have the opportunity to hang batteries for the solar backup. This is an example of the rosemary over the fencing. And in a section, a lot of Santa Rosa is up a little bit higher. So I'm showing kind of a pedestrian, though few people walk on that road, pedestrian looking through the screening and what they're seeing. So infilling with the new trees will help mask out some of the lower portions. We get a little bit of screening with the rosemary, and then the olive trees will help to break that up a little bit more. And then in this one, where Santa Rosa may be closer to same grade, I just wanted to show you that we are trying to fully screen from the street any of our proposed structures. Okay, this is just a simple, super simple light fixture for the project. And this is the lighting plan. We want to only have lighting at the 2 gates. And then I think it's important to have a couple of lights around the equipment area in case Matt has a late night response. He's got to get in there. He needs a little bit of light to see where he's going. All of the lighting will be on motion sensor and pointed away from Santa Rosa Road. And simple irrigation plan, main line coming in from the ag business and then branching off to feed the crops and then also to feed the landscaping. And that gives you the idea of the overall main line coming in and over. So I think that's the gist of it. I'm sure I've forgotten something because we found that the site itself is so complicated. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
All right, sorry about that. I had to unmute myself.
Okay.
Okay, so give me just a few seconds here.
Yeah.
That was a very thorough presentation. Thank you. Let me just come to the board real quick and see if anybody has any questions. Anybody have anything they need to ask right now?
I have a question. It's
Yep.
It's more for you. Will this require a site visit?
That's a good question.
There's so much here that it's hard to really get it all. The pictures are good, but it's just so much. And I would like to see it from the street view, highway view.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that in our deliberation.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other question they want to trot out real quick?
I have a quick one. Is the farm stand is a new structure? Is that right?
It's an as-built. It is existing, and we want to legalize it.
Okay, and it's existing in that location, right? That's where it is.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Although
you.
without the accessible parking spot, is that where that's going?
The accessible is going to go right next to it. Hang
Yep.
on. I'll show you.
I think we got it. It's
Okay.
right here on this plan. You can just put your hand
So-
cursor over it.
So there's
Yep.
the stand, and there to the right is the accessible parking.
Okay. Anybody else have any question? Okay, I do. Could you show us the plan that shows the location of the pole lights?
Yes.
You probably already went over this, but if you could just.
Oh, no, that's. So there's the pole.
Yep.
And sorry,
No, that's fine. There you go.
here's the lighting plan.
Okay, can you just walk us through where the pole lights are and any other light fixtures, if there are any?
Oh, only pole lights. So one is here, and that's kind of representative of the spread. So it's going to be at the corner of, let me see if I can get in here any closer. There we go.
And that's a new gate, right?
He has a gate in approximately that area.
Okay.
So pole, and then a pole, we have some employee parking here, so we'll have a pole there. And then one over here. And then we have one other up at the tractor gate.
Okay. And are all of them required?
The gates are required. Those might be questioned. The planning department has offered to forward this with other plans to the sheriff's office for review.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll take care of that to get their input on requirements on these extra lights.
Okay. Because I think given that those are, well, I'll talk about them when we get to the board comments. All right. Did anybody else have any other questions while I had mine there? All right, Leah, can you check, see if we have any public comment requests to speak?
Madam Chair, we have no requests to speak.
Okay, then I'm going to come to the board for comments. Now, Robin, you brought up the idea that a site visit would probably be a good idea, and I would tend to concur. I mean, I'm very familiar with the corner, but I've never actually been out on the site and looked towards these specific areas. So that's great. What are your thoughts, Robin? Can't hear you, Robin. Did I lose Robin?
No, you didn't lose me.
Okay. I thought I just had a nightmare scenario in which my mic is on, but nothing's happening.
No, I just had to take a phone call.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so you want to speak to the site visit idea and anything else? Any other comments?
Could I go after someone else? Because I have to finish this call.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Cass or Alan or Lowell, anybody want to jump in?
I'm okay. You want me to do it?
Sure.
Other than, I really don't have a problem with it. I'm not a real fan of the hoops, and I don't know the exact laws and everything. I'd like them as shielded as possible, obviously, but they have to be available for the farmer to use. And I like the presentation. I think it was detailed. I'd like some more information on the lights as you requested. And other than the misspelling of the word hoops on group 2, I really don't have any comment.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only type A here. Lowell, you want to make any comments?
Well, I would just say that I've driven by the site many times, but really haven't focused in on a new operation there or additional operations there. So I would support a site visit.
Okay. And Cass?
Yes, I agree. I think we should have a site visit. I would look to, I'm interested to hear from the landscape experts about the plantings and how important it is for everything to be 100% screened, or if it looks a little bit more natural not to be. I mean, hoop houses are there. This is the usual conundrum of you know, design review for hoop houses. So you know, they are what they are. So I guess it's really about the landscaping, and I look to you guys for that. I guess I would like to see the hoop house by the little farm stand. I'd like it to maybe be more back, not right there next to it. I understand the reasoning of being able to be sort of a demonstration thing. I think the little farm stand is kind of charming, and I wouldn't even, it's probably located there because of the setback or something, but I certainly think that could be a more prominent feature. I think it's, you know, a very charming little thing. Always love to see little farm stands. So if that could be more, more prominent and make the hoop house less prominent, that would be my only very small suggestion.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. And I do have a question for the applicant and the architect. Just do you have any odor control system that you're required to put in?
Yes, we have a consultant who's just starting the formal evaluation. But right here on the sheet that is up on the screen, if you still have that, just to the left of that A1 light fixture,
right?
I've got
there it is.
Proposed odor control. So that's a spot for a buyer system that'll go along the fence.
Yeah, it'll run along the fence. Is it the kind of system that's mounted on top of the fence?
We haven't gotten into that detail yet.
All right. I was just asking because that's what we've been seeing. And so, I mean, that's what I'm personally more familiar with.
Yes.
And just getting that. Have you gotten, if you could go back to your fencing
Okay.
sheet, I'd really appreciate that just real quick.
Let's see, where am I?
Yeah, that was it. You just zip by it.
No, it's
The
right there.
detail.
Oh, you want the detail?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I
That's the
wasn't
fencing
specific.
plan.
There you
Here
go. All right. So, you've got by premises fencing detail. That's the whole thing around the whole premises.
No, formally, we're calling the cannabis area is. the
Okay, so this
premise.
is specific to the cannabis.
Yes, but
Okay.
it's similar to what he's used around the perimeter.
Gotcha. And how tall is that?
That's a 6-foot fence.
And that's a requirement of the cannabis ordinance.
The requirement is that it's fenced. I don't remember the language.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Sorry about that. And this is a very nice transparent fence. I quite like it. I like it with the rosemary in front of it. I like it just by itself because it just tends to disappear. And I'm hopeful that this is in fact sufficient to meet the requirements of the ordinance for fencing. So I just wanted to go on record and saying I really support this fence. I like this a lot. In your number 5 site section with landscape screening, the just at the toe of the slope kind of intermediate in there, what type of fence is that right there?
So that is the field fencing mounted to an existing wood split rail.
Okay.
With heavy pole posts.
Okay. All right. So I was just want to make sure I wasn't misreading it as the wood fence, which is actually inside next to the container, correct?
Yes. If you go left, the wood fence is here.
Right there. Correct. All right. That's what I was reading. Yeah. And then the one directly to the right of the wood fence is your standard premises fencing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That was just for clarity, just to make sure that I was interpreting the drawings correctly. And they're very well done, and it's just me not reading them. That's what I just wanted to make sure. This is a nice complete package, actually.
Thank you.
I, in general, I have favorable comments about it. As for me personally, while I concur with Cass that your little farm stand, it could be more prominent. It's just a very nice little structure. I hesitate to say cute because I don't call anything cute, but it's very nice and appropriate. And but I understand that this is basically an as-built, and so it is where it is, and I have no issue with that. But I would support it if you for some reason decided you wanted to make it a little more prominent. And I really don't have a big issue with or really any issue with that demonstration hoop, the little section there. It could be maybe a little smaller or maybe not. I don't know what his intent is, and I would look to seeing that at the site visit. So that's my comments, and the only person we haven't gotten to is Puck. So Puck, would you like to make some comments?
I really concur with everything the other board members' comments, and I do want to reiterate that this fencing looks really good, and along this area, along this road, it would be great if we could have some sort of consistent fencing style like this, so it isn't, there's a lot of this stuff popping up, and this looks good. And as usual, I think we just have to express our concern about the lighting and understand your constraints, and hopefully we can try and minimize it as much as possible. That's all I have.
And would you support a site visit?
Oh, yes, I absolutely would support a site visit.
Okay, so I think the consensus here is that we would like to make a site visit out, and that gives us 3 now to make. But I think it would really just kind of solidify for me your proposal. I mean, on paper, I will say that the screening looks very well thought out and appropriately cited, and the plant selection, as much as I saw of it, it looks, I think you're right there. So I just would like to kind of circle back around, see everything on site, and then take a look at the project again with that in mind. I think they were here for conceptual review today. Assuming that everything gets tied off and you get to the sheriff's department and your odor control systems, everything kind of comes together. I certainly have, I don't think anybody has any problem seeing this for preliminary review. I think you're there. And I would leave it up to you if you want to return for preliminary and final, just work with the planner.
So Bethany,
yes.
just real quick. So it looks like based on the agenda, this requires a CUP, which would mean it would have to go to the decision maker before preliminary. So I guess the question is, in terms of the timing of the site visit.
We'd want the site visit before we would, we should do the site visit and come back, agendize it for further conceptual.
Yeah, that's right.
And then what we'll do is we'll do our normal thing, the little dance with other decision makers. And what we'll do is for the applicant, let me just explain what we do when we have dual decision makers, if you will. We take the project to a preliminary level to the point where we would be comfortable granting preliminary approval. So in essence, when you come back to us, it would be as a preliminary level review. We just are not able to take that action right then, but our notes will capture the fact that we would be comfortable granting preliminary review. And then it goes to the other decision maker, as Alex mentioned, and they take their action, and then you come back to us, and then we will take our preliminary and final action, probably concurrently, would be my guess.
Sounds good. Could we get agendized for that site visit as soon as possible?
I would endorse that. As far as I know, there is space available on the October agenda. I think if you get with your planner and the two of you work with Leah, I think you can work something out.
Thank you.
Okay. And a lovely presentation. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Item number 6, 21 bar 165, the Pharmacy SY Cannabis Retail Storefront. Do we have an applicant present who would?
Kent Mixon here. I'm here. I think Craig, our land use planner, is going to say a bit before we jump in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Mixon, are you prepared to share the submitted plan set with your screen?
I could do that. Open this up.
And I'll jump in here while Kent's getting that on the screen. Just wanted to say good morning. My name's Craig Minus. I'm with CAM Land Use and Development, and I serve as a land planner role for the project. Just wanted to tell the board, thank you for hearing us today. We're very pleased to be here. Our project submitted as part of a very rigorous RFP process and was selected as the preferred application specific to a Santa Ynez cannabis storefront retail use. Much of the presentation today will be given by our architect, Kent Mixon of Androlitis Mixon Architects and Nicole Horn with CJM Landscape. Before I turn it over to Kent and Nicole, Ray Harmon, our P&D planner, did provide you all a staff report. I think it's in form of a memorandum, of which we have reviewed and concur with. So I'll be available for any questions, and I'll turn it over to Kent and Nicole now. Thank you.
Well, I'm Kent Mixon, architect for the project. Thank you for hearing us today. I'll zoom in a little bit here to the, I'm assuming you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we've got the screen.
Great. I'll just zoom into the vicinity map here so you can kind of see where we are. This is Madeira Road. We're on the south side of Madeira Road. Sagunto runs this way, just north of us.
And is this by chance in the old Star Drugs building?
That was my next comment.
Thank you.
It's exactly where it is. So let me go to the site photos. As you can see here, it's the old Star Drug there. That's looking back at the project from the north side of the street. This second photo here is kind of a pan of the north view standing in front of our store, looking towards the north side of Madeira Road. And then these photos here show the back of the store, which is, you can see kind of a sea of paving. And I can explain actually on the site plan when I get to the site plan next. There's this parcel shares not only the Star Drug building, but there's a residence on that same parcel that sits directly adjacent to it. And this building you see in the distance here in this photo is the flower shop that's directly to our west. This next photo kind of looks east from the back of the store towards the residence. And then there's an existing little storage building garage that we're proposing to demolish as part of our proposal. And then this one other photo here shows a closer look at the flower shop to our west. So let me go to the site plan. So this is the existing site plan. Our building, our subject building here is where the dispensary would be located. The flower shop is here to our west. This is the existing single family residence that's on our parcel. And then this storage facility building that would be removed. You can see there's very little landscape on the existing site, with the exception of what's kind of in front of the house and directly behind it. There's some landscaping. And there's a couple little pockets in front of the existing drugstore and along this driveway. But other than that, it's kind of a sea of concrete right now. So I won't get too much into the landscape because Nicole will take that over. But you can see essentially the improvements that we're making are to the exterior of this building are mainly with regards to the landscape and the parking. The existing parking at the back of the store doesn't comply with the current ordinance in terms of backup space and so forth. So we're fixing that, providing better handicap access to the back entrance to the store, and also providing a lot more landscape to the property as well. And I'll leave and then also I should say we're fixing the front entrance to make it a handicap access from the front of the store. Currently, it's too steep as it currently exists. So we'll be fixing that as well. In terms of what we're doing to the building, not really a lot. Mainly cosmetically. We'll be painting it. We'll be replacing the windows in the existing openings, with exception of we'll be adding a window at the back of the store and losing a door that's currently here. So I'll show you the elevation. So this is the existing elevations. There's an existing Star Drug sign there. The existing windows are kind of I think aluminum, just kind of aluminum windows, not a lot of detail to them. The board and batten is fine. We would just be changing the color of that and replacing the windows and this handicap ramp at the front and in the back of the store. So this is what we're proposing. So you can see there's not really any visual change in elevations with exception of this new window at the back of the store and then losing this third door that currently exists. We would also be proposing some solar panels on the roof, on that western facing roof. That this is the driveway entrance between the flower shop and our project. This is the trash enclosure that's located at the back parking lot where that existing, it's in the location of that existing storage facility now. And this is just it's kind of our material palette. We're proposing like an aluminum clad door and window, which for all intensive purposes would basically look like kind of an old wood window, replacing those existing aluminum windows to stay more in character with the kind of rural architecture of the building that exists and of the area. The color palette that we're thinking about for the the body of the building, this being this commercial white, and then the gutters and trim being this darker color. The lights are really simple, LED light that's hidden up here in the hood. Just provides a really simple glow. These are all dark sky compliant. You can see here on these what I have kind of circled with these boxes. And then we also have just one pennant light, which is in that kind of recessed area at the entryway off of Madeira. If you remember how that entrance kind of is arranged. And then we have a couple, just two pole lit light fixtures in the parking lot just to provide some general illumination in the parking lot as well. And I think that covers kind of what I need to, that I can, obviously am available for any questions, but I'll turn it over to Nicole.
Hi, everyone. This is Nicole Horn, landscape architect with CJMLA. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Great. So you can see here the landscape plan. We have a plant palette on the right, a couple images on the left, and then the planting plan in the middle of the screen with some additional reference imagery on the bottom right. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to make this, site pretty consistent with the Santa Ynez Valley Community Plan. We're adding some frontage plantings along both the existing pharmacy building and the adjacent residential building to improve that pedestrian experience. We've got a custom hitching post style bike rack that's going to go in front. Maybe you could zoom in, Kent, to the plan now. That hitching post style bike rack, there's an image on the bottom right, and then it would be located right in front of the pharmacy there. And that's sort of like trying to pick up on the existing rural agricultural character of the neighborhood. And we're introducing some native oak woodland species in the plant palette. So we've got kind of a blend of oak woodland species and kind of a traditional garden style with flowering shrubs. Primarily, we've got some oak trees going in on the back around the parking lot, and then some native grasses and native shrubs, both on the pharmacy property and on that, well, it's the same property, around the pharmacy and in front of that existing residential building. The other thing we're sort of introducing is we're formalizing a parking space for that residence in the front yard. So you can see there we've got gravel in front of that residence, and it would be, compacted underneath where the it's called out as like 9 by 16 and 6 inches, and that's the required parking space size. So we're going to line that gravel area with the planting, so it's trying to screen it from the street, and we've got existing trees on that area as well that we're keeping. There's 3 there. And as Ken mentioned, we have dark sky compliant post lighting, and that lines the parking lot. You can see there's these 2 red symbols, one against each of the property lines at the back of the property. And I think that's about it. If you have questions, I can go into the planting in further detail. But that's the overview.
I have a quick question. How wide is that planter? It'd be on the south side there of the parking edge?
I believe that is like 30 inches, 3 feet or something like that. I don't know. Let me see if I have it. Well, let me look before filtering through the thing. Let me see if it's dimensioned on my plan.
That's okay. That's close enough.
Yeah.
That kind of answers the gist of my question. Okay. Anybody else on the board have any other questions? Or is the applicant finished? Do you need anything else? Do you need to mention anything?
I was just going to mention, since you brought up that south property line, that we've got ground cover there and then an existing fence. So we're going to be planting that fence with a, with a vine.
Okay.
Did you want to talk about the plants, Nicole? Or no need?
Yeah, I mean, we're very specific actually for this level of drawing for concept. We've got like a full plant palette here. So, you know, I can talk about each species, but you can kind of see in the images, we've really tried to get a mix of the natives. We've got the ceanothus as a ground cover, the rhamnus as a shrub, and then the deer grass is obviously a grass. And we've also got the Carpentaria californica, Elizabeth, as sort of a flowering native shrub. And then the coast live oak trees, which I mentioned in the parking.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I have a quick question on signage. Do you have any information on that?
We haven't addressed that yet. So I don't really.
Okay.
Is that something that we're supposed to look at, Bethany?
Yeah, it should be included. It's a separate permit. There's a sign permit. But usually most applicants try and combine them with us at the same time.
Okay.
It's a more expeditious way to go because we do have to review it and it is a separate permit.
We can certainly have that included with our next go.
Yeah. You might find it helpful in the whole processing process.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just had one other question is just the plantings that are along the driveway side there. What are those, that long row of
You're talking about here.
whatever the, yeah, what are those?
I'm just trying to look. Can you zoom in there?
Yeah.
Ken?
Is it these
I
guys?
think that's the Muhlenbergia dubia, the smaller version of the newly grass.
Which one of these pictures?
It's the second from the right in the middle row, or
Okay.
second from the left.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions real quick? Okay. Public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Madam Chair, I do not have any requests to speak.
Okay. Who wants to start us off on the board comment?
I'll start.
Thanks, Puck.
I think this is a good rehabilitation of this existing old building in Santa Ynez. It's not trying to be anything but what it really is, but just a slight, better version. So I appreciate that. And I just had one comment about the where's the Carpentaria?
What?
Where is the shrub, the Carpentaria, located?
Do you know that offhand, Nicole?
I was muted. I think it might not be on the plan yet. I think we haven't.
I think it's in front of the residence, Puck.
Yeah, that's either
Oh.
the Ramnus or it can be the California Carpinteria.
Okay, I mean, as our climate's changed, it tends to struggle a little bit up here if it's really exposed, but then in other areas, you know, like north facing, it does really well. So I was just curious where it is. I totally.
And actually, I think she's right. It's not on the plan yet.
Okay. Well, I appreciate trying to also landscape as much as possible given the constraints of the site. That's all I have.
Okay. Cass?
Yeah, I think, thank you for this presentation. Very, very nicely done and thorough. And I appreciate what Puck said, that, you know, just kind of the cleanup of the building. My only comment is that I'd like to suggest that, you know, the black and the white and then the sort of monolithic plantings can sort of lend kind of a very contemporary modern look. And I think that you might consider, instead of the white for the siding of the building, perhaps it could be more of a weathered wood. Then I think everything would work. But I think that the combination with the white and then the dark windows and then the lantern, it all kind of gets to kind of a stark modern look. And I think for in the valley, it might be more appropriate if just that, even just like I said, a weathered wood instead of a white would look really nice with all the other materials that you have. So that's all I wanted to suggest.
Okay.
And thank you very much. I think it's nice and it'll be a good project.
Okay. I'm going to go out of order here. Lowell?
I have no comment at this time.
Alan?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Robin?
I think it's a good project, very appropriate, and I agree with Cass's last statement about the white. It would seem very contemporary, and with the San Ynez community plan, I think something less urban and more Western would be appropriate. And that's all.
Okay. I can concur with everything that's said. I am a little suspicious about your use of Yankee Point in a 30-inch wide planter. Because if it's not happy, it doesn't grow at all. And if it is happy, it gets wide. And you would never see those parking spaces again. So I think there's lots of choices. You'll find something or you'll use that, but that's just my one comment about the Yankee Point. Other than that, I would echo Puck's comments about the fact that this is seems to be a very thoughtful approach to really rehabilitate the landscape and the building as well. And I can't say any better. The comments that Cass made about the architecture and the colors. So I'm just going to leave that be and just say that I concur. But nice presentation, nice project, and to the board, how do we want to see this come back?
May I jump in real fast? This is Craig Minus again. I'll leave that up to you, but I think our team, if there's an option to come back as prelim final, we're moving very quickly through the land use entitlement side. So if that's an option, we would very much appreciate that.
Okay. I do have one quick question on the pole lights, the two pole lights in the back. One of them's there at the handicapped area, and the other one's over on the property line next to the flower shop. What's the total height on that pole?
I believe there were Let me see. Specifies on that. 10 feet.
Okay, that sounds great. I don't think I'd want to see anything any taller. I would just caution that you work on your lighting, and I'd like some information on that as far as where the actual puddle of light is going to be, because I would hesitate to endorse the light spill onto the other properties, the adjacent properties, because those are both real close to the property line. So just kind of check out your where you're putting the light on the ground, I guess.
Right.
That would be my only other comment.
And Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
also the signage, I think that's going to be very
Yes.
important, so that we get to see that, and that it also is, you know, in keeping.
We would greatly appreciate if it's included as part of this package, if at all possible,
Absolutely.
because it will have to come to us.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and that it, you know, is in line with the comments that we have made.
just in keeping with the
Keeping it
building and
rural,
colors and style and
yeah,
the
rural,
lighting of it as well. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks. Good catch, Cass. All right. I don't think we'd have any problem with it returning preliminary final. I'm not hearing anybody object. So you'll just need to get the planner's memo to that effect. And we look forward to seeing you return.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think there's no further business for us today. I would like to make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Can I ask a question first?
Yes, please.
When will we find out where the venue is before next month?
Leah.
Yeah, that's still up in the air. We do have a few emails out to some local venues that would be closer than Santa Maria. But as of right now, I believe that Betaravia is kind of our fallback plan. So we're just waiting to hear back on costs and availability and the ability to actually hold these hybrid meetings in those locations that would be closer to the Solvang area. But I'll let you guys know as soon as we know, definitely.
Do you know where the Betaravia Center is in Santa Maria, Alan?
I'm sure I can find it if somebody gives me an address.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find. It's the county's kind of government center north. And it's right there off of Betaravia.
One of the things that I'd like staff to do, if they can do it quickly, if you could look back in the last year and give us a bit of a map of where most of our applicants come from. Because if most of the applicants come from this area, then I think we could probably make a push to the supervisors to look a little harder down here.
Well,
I don't remember very many coming from that area up there.
Well, it's actually Santa Maria is not within the purview. It's not even close to our purview. It just happens to be the one place there, the county is pretty sure at this point where they can meet the requirements legally for the meeting. This has all been discussion in the background, and I didn't want to really delve into it, but I wholeheartedly endorse what I think is what you're saying, which is actually CBAR meetings should be held within the confines of the CBAR area.
Bethany, may I just make a quick comment?
Mm-hmm.
I know this was not on the agenda, but I feel so strongly that these meetings should be in our area. And so hopefully they're looking into the Grange and also St. Mark's, because both of those buildings have internet capacity that we've used for many Zoom meetings.
It's, as I understand it, Puck, and I'm not trying to speak out of turn here, but as I understand it, they have some technological recording / microphoning / video / the presentation so that the person who is attending virtually has the same experience as someone who's in the room.
That's why I suggested those
Yeah.
two places.
That's fine. Open to all those suggestions. Leah, I'm sure you can take that back to David.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what? If you could email me those, that would be awesome. I know that we're looking into the meeting room that the city of Solvang uses. But they're getting back to us on how much they would charge for each meeting. For now, we're just looking for a place that will meet our needs so that we can actually provide these meetings in a timely manner.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping that later on we'll find a more permanent solution that's more convenient for the applicants. For right now, we're just trying to find a spot where we can legally hold these meetings so that we don't delay projects by another month or two.
Sure. Yeah.
That would be awesome if you could send me those. I'll pass them along to David and have him reach out to see if those would meet our needs.
Okay, great.
Okay. And if anybody has any other ideas for areas in the Solvang, Los Olivos, Bealton, anywhere in here, that anything that you can think of that is either already a county facility or could be used by a county facility as a potential meeting area for us, by all means forward those to Leah and she'll get them to David. Because the more minds on this, the better, I think.
Definitely, I agree.
Okay. So that was our discussion. Any other discussion? All right. I call for a vote on the motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. We are done. See you guys next month.
Thank you.
Thanks,
At
Bethany.
the location to be disclosed.